Hello guys, welcome to the second video of my series about middlewares. Today I'm going to talk about importing sounds and organizing folders in those middlewares. So we are going to talk about naming conventions and the basic principles of organization inside those softwares. If you're already a sound designer, probably you know how much it's important to name your files, be organized with folders, don't get lost around your projects, right? So let's begin by having a look inside Fmod. So I just opened a new project in Fmod, and now we're gonna take a look at the left. We have three tabs here, and this window is called Event Editor window. So if you don't know what is an event, the definition Fmod gives in the manual is basically an event is an instanceable unit of sound content that can be triggered, controlled, and stopped from game code. As a rule, every situation in your game that produces a sound should have a corresponding event. Alright, so we know that an event is gonna be the place where we'll put our audio files. Inside an event we have tracks, we can have layers of sounds, we can automate those sounds to play in a way that fits our game, and we can create parameters to control this sound. All of these things we're gonna cover later on, but for now let's focus on creating events and folders and naming them properly. When I right-click at the Event tab, I have two options: create a new event and create a new folder. I'm gonna start out by creating a new folder. So I'm gonna name this folder Sound Effect. And I'm gonna create a new folder and I'm gonna name it Music. My third folder will be named Ambience. And let's say we have also voiceover in the game, so I'm gonna create a new one named voiceover. So probably you're gonna want to create subfolders inside those folders, unless you have a really small game and you have, for example, only 2 and 3 music, or like just a few sound effects, one level and not much. But if your game is a little bit bigger than that, probably you're gonna want to create subfolders. Let's say in sound effects, I'm gonna create a new folder that it's gonna be called Menu. So all my sound effects sounds, UI sounds, interface sounds, buttons will be inside this folder. Also, I'm gonna create a new folder called, let's say, Level, and I'm gonna create a new folder called Battle. It's a good idea to copy those folders to my next one. So there you go, this is like a basic organization. I'm gonna start creating a new event in my level. So you can see that I have all of these options. I don't want to talk about this right now, but we can for sure discuss this later and see what exactly they are. But the most common one and the one that you are going to be using the most is this probably the 2D timeline. So I'm gonna create a new event, and you can see that automatically creates an audio track for me. So first thing, I'm gonna name this event, let's say it can be anything that it's gonna make a sound inside my level, right? So I'm just gonna imagine that in this game we're gonna have a shotgun. So I'm gonna rename the track as well with the same name. Now it's a good time to discuss naming conventions. So the name of the event is the name you're going to share with your programmer to put in the game code. So if you change anything in the name of the event, you're gonna mess around with the game code that's already in the game. So let's say I pass through my programmer that I use an event with the name shotgun, and then I came here and I renamed this event to shotgun with uppercase, right? That's already enough to mess up with the code, and all of a sudden the sound is not gonna play in the game anymore. So we have to keep a pattern here so everybody knows what is happening and don't get lost. Imagine if we have like one event with lowercase and then we create a new event like this, or we gonna create like even a third event like this, right? So that's gonna be crazy. So we have to be organized with that kind of things. And for example, if I have a double name, let's say magic laser, I'm gonna use an underscore in this case, and that's all. All events will have lowercase, and if it's a double, it's gonna have underscore. But if you like, you can use the first letter as an uppercase, so making sure you do it for all the others event, right? Alright, so let's import a sound for now. I have a pretty easy option in Fmod, which is just dragging a sound into the track like we do normally in a DAW. So I'm gonna open my Finder. I have here I created a folder called sounds. I have my sounds here, and I'm gonna choose it. Here my pistol shot, and I'm just gonna drag to my track, right? Alright, so it's here, it's gonna play. I have also a folder called assets, and that's gonna be exactly like my audio files folder in a normal DAW like Pro Tools, Logic. So if I start to drag a lot of different sounds to here, I can even create a new event from a sound that I'm dragging, and I can move it over, let's say to fireplace. It's gonna be located in ambience, probably in level. So I can work like that normally, but what is gonna be weird in the end, that if I go to my assets, or the other way to get access to this folder is Command 3. This is my audio bin. If you come to Window, audio bin, you're gonna have access to my assets folder, and yeah, the sounds are here. But in the end, if you have like 100, 200 or many more sounds, you're gonna end up with like a big list of sounds here. If you have any kind of problem with some sounds, because sometimes they get corrupted or they can be missing, or like a lot of things can happen, trust me in this one. So you want to be organizing your assets folder to solve any issues you might have in the future. The tip I have for you here is, instead dragging the sounds from the Finder to your audio tracks, the best way to do this in Fmod, it's in your assets folder, you're gonna first create an organization in the same way you have done in your events. So unfortunately, I can't just copy these folders and paste them here, so I'll have to create new folders with the same names. I have already an event called shotgun, and well, I wanna drag this sound to my sound effects, of course, but I'm dumb and I name my file like in a super weird way. So make sure you also exporting the sounds from your DAW in a organized and very well thought way. Alright, so make sure you are in your assets folder and drag the sound here. So when you drag the sounds to your assets, of course they are not gonna go to the timeline. They are in your assets folder and they are marked as unused. That means you're not using that sound in any kind of events. So if you go back to your events, here you go, nothing is here, right? So all you have to do is go to your assets and drag to your track. So now the unused hashtag has gone and you have the sound here playing. It's showing that it's unassigned because I didn't assign to any bank. We're gonna have a look at that later, right? So don't worry about that right now. So yeah, I would say that's a pretty good way to import sounds in Fmod. Another option is you can actually pay Command-Shift-I and you can come to your folder and you can also import like that. So you can also import a file that way, but if you click on a folder and try, you can see that the open button is dimmed, so you cannot import a folder that way, but you can do import a folder by dragging it to the assets folder. I made this one called tests and just put a bunch of random sounds inside it, and I'm gonna drag it here. So you can see that I was able to drag a bunch of sounds at the same time already in a folder, which is really cool. So that's it, guys. At least for me, it was hard to pay attention to this process because it's so much easier to just drag and drop sounds wherever in the track. Like, we are pretty used to do that, and that's what we're going to intuitively do. One thing to remember here is that if you want to rename it, the folders for some reason, let's say I want to specify the folder to be sound effects for my character number 1, and I have already an event here, that's no problem at all. You can rename the folders. You just have to pay attention to when you are renaming the events that are already coded into the game. I guess that's all. Let's jump to Wwise right now. Hey guys, so I'm in Wwise right now. I just opened a new project, and as you can see right off the bat, I have 2 tabs, Audio tab and Events tab. They are located in this window called Project Explorer. As you can see, instead of having a blank space like I have in Fmod, here I have a structure with many folders and what they call a work unit. For now, let's talk about the actor mixer hierarchy and the interactive music hierarchy. So the actor mixer is where I'm going to place all my sound effects. I can create another work unit. Let's say I create one with the name sound effect player. And let's say I'm sharing this project with more sound designers and we are working in the same game. So as I'm doing the sound effects for the player, another person is doing sound effects for the enemies. So what he can do is create another work unit. That way we can have a separate workflow. So as you can see, that's mainly for organization purpose. When I right click my sound effect player, I have a lot of options and I can see that I can create a new child for it. What is that? So I'm not gonna focus on the containers right now. Probably I'm gonna do a video only to talk about that. But if we just want to drag one sound effect, what we have to do is create a sound effect, what they call a sound object in Wwise. As you can see, I have also a sound voice. Sound voice obviously is to working with voiceover, right? So for now, I just want to create a sound effect, so I'm gonna click this option. And let's use the same one I use in Fmod, shotgun. So as you can see, the name is red, and that indicates to me that I don't have an audio file attached to this object, because I really didn't import any audio file, right? So he's just telling me that I need to import the audio file. So how can you do that? I can do that the same way I did in Fmod, and you can do in normal DAW, just dragging the sound towards it. And when I do that, he gives me the window, and he asks me what type of object is that. As you can see, I just drag one object and I have only one option, audio source. So I'm gonna import it. Okay, so that means now I have an audio file attached to it. Let's play it. So another way to import audio files is by going to project and choosing import audio files, which is actually Shift I. So I'm gonna press Shift I. Before that, I'm gonna select where I want to import my files. So I want to import them to these work units. So I'm gonna press now Shift I. And you can see that I can add folders here, which is cool. So I'm gonna add the test folder. And now I have a lot of different options here. So now I'm gonna focus on the virtual folder and the actor mixer. So first, let's import as a virtual folder. When I import as a virtual folder, I can see that's only like a normal folder. So I'm just grouping those sounds together, but I can't actually control them. I don't have any options inside that folder to control these sounds. So let's say this time I'm gonna import it again, and I'm gonna choose actor mixer. So when I choose actor mixer, here in my test 01, you can see that I have a different symbol, and also Wwise give me that pane called property editor. So here I have a lot of options to control those sounds together, like for example volume, pitch, low pass filter. If you wanna send all those files to the same bus, so they can have the same type of reverb, that's possible too. But now I want to talk about events. So now I have one sound here, but I didn't create any event, right? That means it's not gonna play on the game. I need to have an event. So I'm gonna go to the event tab. As you can see here, I also have a default work unit. The best way to do it is to keep the organized at the same way you are doing in your audio tabs. So I can go here and create, let's say, just a sound effect, work unit, and I'm going to create another work unit called sound effect player. In here I can create my event, and I'm gonna name it the same way as I named my audio file, shotgun. I just have to go to my audio tabs and drag my audio file to this editor, and immediately he's gonna give me that default behavior, which is play. So now that event is also playing, triggering that sound. And now you're ready to send that to the programmer and implement that in the game. So that's it, guys. I hope you liked the video. Leave questions and comments below, and in the next video we're gonna dive even more into those middlewares. Thank you.